This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Go ahead and call things to order here. This is the Thursday, January 16th, 2025 meeting of the Easthampton Energy Advisory Committee. Jamie Paquette, the chair, joined by members Josh Rosenblatt, Cassie Eckhoff, and John Pepe remotely. Again, Connie Dawson cannot be here today, but she did provide minutes from the last meeting and some updates that I will talk through as we get to them. First order of business is to review and approve the December 19th minutes. Anyone have any comments, updates on that?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, I do have one quick amendment to the minutes. That was just a slight thing where she put, I think it was under the climate action plan, where she had a note that said no updates waiting for DPU, and I think that actually belonged in the section for aggregation. So I'm going to make a quick motion to amend the minutes before we submit approve, but otherwise we can approve them because there's no other revisions to make.
Motion to approve as amended.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve as amended? Do I have a second? Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will make the slight amendments to the minutes and also them to the city. Thank you all. Public speak. We don't have any members of the public here or online. So we can jump ahead to the next part, which is some quick committee updates. Let's see, the Bees Committee, actually, we have our next meeting later today. I'll be back in this room at 6 for that. So the quick update there is they are planning to have this Saturday, they are doing a seed sowing workshop, a winter seed sowing at the new florist in town. In conjunction with council member Tamara Smith. So that's a fun thing that they're going to be doing. I won't be able to be there, unfortunately. Kid's birthday party. But yeah, that's one public facing thing they're starting to do, and they may be looking to do another one or two. I'm also going to talk to them about joining us for Winterfest, which we'll get into a little bit later. Hopefully they'll be able to maybe have a presence there. I think that's indication that some people wanted to participate in that. So, and then, yeah, going forward, they're looking for some more public facing events, and looking forward to the sustainability coordinator being hired and all that sort of stuff to get everything.
Is there an update on that?
I will update you in just a minute on that.
Oh, yep. Sorry.
No worries. So that's a quick Bees Committee update. Next, after the meeting today, there may be some more things I'll share going forward. But again, as they do stuff and we do stuff, the more, if we partner together on some things that make sense, it's great. On the green communities and climate leader communities, I think some of this got a little screwy in the agenda here. There is an open grant proposal window now for green communities. We could potentially go for something. I don't think we have anything earmarked right now that we'd want to go for under that. The annual report, John, do you know if there's anything more we need to do for the annual report at the moment?
No, it's been done. There was a request within a week after we submitted it, or 10 days, to modify some of the data, and I did it, but they also had Weston and Sampson kind of submit it and finalize and submit it. And I did, like I told you, I think the other day, Jamie, had been an email exchange with Chris probably 10 days ago, maybe longer now, about did we check all the boxes, we're okay on the Green Communities annual report, and he didn't have an answer yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll assume things are mostly good unless we hear otherwise.
We didn't wait for
Chris Mason from DOER.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, the climate leader designation, I don't have an update there either, although there was a message from Chris Mason. I'm gonna try to find here real quick. That was about
Chris Mason what is this role again?
he is the regional coordinator for DOER for our region. I believe
Okay.
is his title. Double check the exact
That works.
wording of that, but where did I get?
What does DOR stand for? Department of Environmental Resources?
Environmental resources, I think. These are things I should probably have a quicker callback, but yeah, let me just check something here. Certification. Okay, right. And another message I got from him, there's an upcoming webinar on the climate leader community's technical assistance. I think actually that was earlier today. I did not manage to sign up for that. They also have offering climate leaders decarbonization planning assistance, but again, I don't think we need that since we already have
We have that.
the
don't we?
decarbonization plan that then Weston and Sampson, that's part of what they updated for the green communities. Was the decarbonization. No, that was for something. That was for the submittal of the climate leaders. So I think we're still just waiting on that. The green communities competitive grants, the spring round is available. It's open. Let's see. Application window opens in March and closes in April. So we're not even quite there yet. But it does say that a final report has to be submitted by February 3rd. Well, that's actually
in April, just for 1 month.
I'm sorry. The application window is very short. It's actually March 24th to April 4th under the green communities. And lest I all over the place, to be eligible to be having the final report submitted, that's for previous grants. If we had an open grant, which we do not, so that's we can ignore that. That's if you wanted to apply for a new one, you have to have your previous one closed out by then. But so much to keep track of. Your unpaid stuff.
We need a sustainability coordinator.
All right. I don't know the 2025 meeting dates and times. I think that actually came from this thing. I think that's just was planning for us, not anything more. I don't have any more information on climate leader stuff. So again, we'll sit tight. We can always check in with Chris at some point in the near future and see if there's a timeline for any of this. All right, so the city sustainability coordinator. Last week, I was here for a different meeting that included the mayor, and I got to talk to her for a few minutes after. She let me know that interviews have been going on for that. They've actually interviewed several people.
Yes.
I checked in with Lindsay at the end of last week, beginning of this week, just to see. There had been talk originally about maybe somebody from this committee being involved in the interview process.
Yeah.
I just still wanted that. Lindsay said that, well, they had just been moving fast with DPW and the mayor and whatever, and she didn't think it was needed at this point. I certainly don't necessarily need anything else on my calendar, but I just asked if there was any information on the candidates. I think they've identified maybe one specifically that they like or that they want to move forward with, but she wasn't able to identify that person for me or give me any more information right now. She did say under the budgeting and approval part here, and I'm sorry if I'm going too fast, that there's still approval, like they still need to figure out the budgeting, how that's going to work and get city council approval for that before they can officially hire the person. So I don't know exactly what the time frame around that looks like.
Figured out and approved by the council.
Yeah, they have to
City council.
figure the city council is going to have to approve the budgeting of that, like where that money is coming from. So the mayor has to get there before that can officially be hired. So, but again,
They're putting the cart before the horse.
well, they're moving quickly with the interviews. It's a good sign. Hopefully that means that, the rest of it may be a little bit perfunctory. We'll see. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. but I will try to check in on that again soon and see what we can find out.
Jamie,
John.
question. For one thing, I'm wondering, we had heard back in, we're stuck at the step of getting authorization from the city council for the position. I think this might be a difference between an authorization from the position versus what they probably had to have before they advertised versus actually figuring out what account to move money around in and that kind of stuff. Not sure, but that's
Right.
what my guess would be. Did you say that they had interviewed several candidates and were looking at one that was a favorite?
I believe that's correct. Yes, that was
Yeah.
the indication.
A little detail on, I mean, if you guys look closely at the job description and payment and what do you call it? Salary, which is an hourly thing, it comes to a maximum of like $54,000 a year. So it strikes me that we're going to get, unless we're just lucky, can't expect to get a highly experienced person in this field to come in and do it for that. I mean, it is 34 hours a week, and I am disappointed that they didn't bring us in on the interview process. Maybe we should ask at least for them to have the their lead candidate meet with the committee before they actually appoint them.
We could ask about that. I don't know that they would hold it up for that. I know that's why I was reaching out though, because I knew. Here we go. Yeah, because I wasn't sure. And again, I'm finding out that. So I think Lindsay, the HR director, and the DPW director all sat in on the interviews. What she told me, and that they picked a candidate. So it said they can't move forward with the offer until the mayor confirms funding, which will need to go before city council for appropriation. That's the wording there.
Yeah.
So, I would like to meet them too. Maybe we'll be able to meet them like before they're, if they get a start date, maybe they can come and meet with us before they even start, just to do a quick meet and greet kind of thing. And give them some lay of the land. I don't know how much influence we would have over the, hey, they got to meet with us before you can officially hire them kind of thing, given that we're, purely advisory in that regard.
And at 34 hours a week, they're benefited, right?
They should be benefited.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So if they've got a candidate, again, it might be a relatively younger person or somebody, without a ton of work experience. We don't know. I don't want to. I just speculated that. I don't want to necessarily speculate on that, but we'll see what they come up with. I mean, if we end up having major objections for some reason, we can certainly voice those. But I don't anticipate that. Okay. All right. All right, moving on to Winterfest, since that's a big upcoming thing that we have going on. February 8th, it is happening. There's events multiple days, but the 8th is the focal point. It'll be a lot of things happening, especially around this area, around 50 Payson and the pond. Connie has done a lot of work pulling this stuff together for this and making things happen, which has been great. There's a lot of details that she's worked through with Winterfest and the mayor's office and DPW even. So the quick thing is we're going to be out there from 11 to 2. We're going to probably have about 8 parking spots reserved for us over here on the side of the building. We're going to have electric vehicles brought in by Josh and Bruce Foles, who's a former friend of the committee, and the EPD is bringing one of their Teslas. I don't know if you've identified anyone else, Josh, or
Still working. I'm trying to get Jean-Pierre.
okay. There's I have a friend that I may ask as well if we have a spot. So we're thinking if we get 3 is good, 4 or 5 would be good, better maybe. And
Want a bolt? If you want a bolt, I can bring my bolt.
You have a Bolt?
Yeah.
B as in business? Not a Volt. Bolt?
A 2020 bolt.
Wait, is it Volt as in Victor or B as in business?
B is in Bambi.
Oh, great. Yeah, do bring it. Please, bring it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and if you don't want to stand next to it, if you don't want to be there the whole time, I've had 2 bolts, so I can speak for that one too.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fun.
Okay, okay.
Great, John, appreciate that. All right, so that gets us up to 4 confirmed, and again, maybe room for 1, maybe 2 others if we want. So that'll be cool to have a nice EV demonstration. We're gonna be right over here. This is where like the horse rides are gonna be loading and unloading, and it's gonna be a food truck over here. So there's gonna be foot traffic, and the pond's gonna be having ice harvesting and like other stuff going on. Josh,
Do you know if Connie's putting together any signage?
she's working on some stuff there. Yeah. So in terms of like collateral, she got Lindsay to print 50 copies of the resident action guide from the climate action plan.
Oh, good.
You're gonna try to maybe put something else together with information about some other, programs or things like maybe Mass Save, or maybe we can get some stuff around some of these other programs that we can hand out or at least talk about.
Do we have a banner?
We don't have a banner, no, and like she talked to planning, but I don't know exactly what they have, and they were like, well, you guys are sort of DPW. So she's talking to DPW, they may be able to contribute some stuff. But we may have to like try to put a flyer together or something like that, quickly to just like whatever else we might want to advertise. Again, if Bees Committee is there, they'll probably have some handouts and things to talk about with people. So yeah, that's their participation. I'll find out more later, but they're definitely going to have people there. Yeah, so then I know any other programs that we want to promote, we can talk about upcoming aggregation. We can talk about a climate action plan. We can talk about now these new energy outreach initiatives with Northampton, multiple of them, which we'll cover a little bit more.
She had approached me about adding a piece about heat pumps using the Electrify Easthampton.
Okay.
But I can give an update on that when we get there, because
Okay.
that's kind of a no news thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, we can work on having a few different things there, but really, a lot of it is just having people there to be able to talk to different things and like figure out what people are interested in. Like it can be pretty loose and informal. I mean, I think and then everything else can kind of orbit around that. Anyone else has
Can I ask, could we invite Sunwell to come, even if we're not worked out by the final arrangements?
Yeah, that's I was gonna talk to them about that to see if they want to come, and I want to try to get something officially like finalized with them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna follow up and invite them. Yeah, I mean the thought was we could invite them. Connie was talking about inviting like vehicle dealerships that might sell electric vehicles if they wanted to come. That's a bigger thing that we can't really do right now. But there's, we could look at something like Revise, like see if I think she was having you look at Revise, right? But if we can just like reach out to somebody general at Revise and see if they or if there's other energy firms that want to have a presence that they could promote just the Mass Save program in general or something like that, or some other things that we have going on. There's definitely room to invite some more people if we have ideas or we come across something and we want to do that. I think that's totally fine to do. So again, the things will be going on longer. We're planning to be there from 11 to 2. If things are going well and people want to stick around longer than that, we can, but that's what we felt comfortable committing to for now. And I think she's been in touch with Winterfest. Stuff should be up on their site as like part of the whole program, which is great. So she had a whole big, much longer update for me with a lot of details, but I'm not going to get into each one of those. Right.
Good for her.
Yes,
Just good for her.
No, I agree. She really wanted to do something like this, and she's making it happen. And it could be a good prelude to win more stuff in the future.
Yeah,
to having more opportunities at Cultural Chaos and beyond. So yeah, anybody else? Anything for Winterfest? John, you have his hand up still or no?
Oh, no.
Just making sure. All right, so on to our upcoming electrification and efficiency programs. So yeah, Electrify, last we heard, they're still working things out with Revise or what have you, and you reached out to...
I reached out to Ben in Northampton just because he's kind of known to me.
Yeah.
And Oh, so he reached out to revise, not revise, the,
CEC.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they never responded.
Okay.
Trying to see if the contract was in place and, you know, I wanted to draft a body from them, but
Right. Okay.
Who's Ben again?
Ben Weil, Weil. I think he's East Northampton's sustainability director.
That is the official title. Yeah.
WEIL. Right? Look it up. Oops.
Yeah, WAL, yeah.
Yeah. That's the last time we have a message from
He reached out to the CDC, but they never responded.
yeah. CEC. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. I got suspended until I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So officially, he's the director of climate action and project administration. Sorry. Okay, so that's still up in the air. There's not a lot we can do there other than just wait, since we're not part of the negotiation or implementation process. Really, just be a mouthpiece for it once it's in place. But on better news, the Mass Save Community First Partnership. Northampton told us that was approved, which is great. So we are officially moving forward with that, which means that we now also need to hire an energy advocate to work in conjunction with us, Northampton, Westhampton. Northampton will be leading the charge for that. They reached out to us and to, I think, is it Kate? Maybe it's from Westhampton, Kate O'Connor. And to try to get a meeting in place. We're meeting next Tuesday to discuss the hiring process.
What was the position?
Sorry, energy advocate. Yeah, is the official title for this.
Can we draw from the pool of applicants to the sustainability coordinator job?
Possibly. There was some information that there an energy advocate from another town in Western Mass who recently not had their contract renewed or something like that has reached out to Northampton, so there may be a good person available for something like this. This is a part-time role though, so
Right.
Yeah, but first things first, we gotta figure out the process for hiring. There was going to be a meeting for people to, for all the various people who were approved to come together and like get a intro and talk to the folks from who's administering this one. Whoever it is, it's the overarching organization was going to bring people together in Northborough in February for a kickoff.
Thing, right.
Yeah, but now that's been moved. It's kind of going to get pushed to March, apparently. We just got word like yesterday, I think, that it's not going to happen the original date. So it's not going to happen until March. So again, I think that buys everybody maybe a little extra time to sort of figure stuff out.
Do you want me at that Tuesday meeting?
The one on this coming
The
Tuesday?
hiring?
If you'd like to be, I'm happy to include you. You do not have to be though.
Okay.
I'll be there and the mayor's office will be there in Northampton.
Oh, okay. We'll be well.
Is that for the hiring of the,
That's for the hiring of our specific person. Yeah, for the
Energy advocate.
our
Okay.
community first partnership. So it's a two-year grant that we'll be getting and that we'll be getting a part of. But again, Northampton's hope was that maybe Easthampton would be their office home base for
Right.
this person at least some of the time. So hopefully that will be what we can work at. But that's again exciting, trying to get more into the community around Mass Save, especially focus on the lower income and renter populations that we've identified as well as small businesses. So great news. Thank you again, Cassie, so much for working to help get that proposal together and worded and out the door.
Thanks, Cassie.
You're welcome, John.
We all have some things to celebrate here for sure. So yeah, it's great stuff. We'll get more updates next meeting, hopefully, about how that's going. So I'm going to move on to the next piece, which is some EV infrastructure. So I did have, again, in my conversation with the mayor, we talked a little bit about this. I didn't realize that Eversource, I guess at some point requested interconnection requests from a lot of municipalities around Massachusetts for potential like future EV interconnections, like level 3 interconnections. And
What did they request?
I think they requested, they just had an open process where municipalities could apply for interconnections into the grid in certain locations for potential EV infrastructure, future EV infrastructure. And Eversource was then going to take all those and figure out who they were going to award interconnection agreements to, because they have to assess, grid load and like all the different substation locations and like what capacity they have in different places. We'll get into specifics. The mayor thought that process has got a little fraught and may even be including some lawyers around the selection process and what's going on with that. So that's a little bit in limbo. Now that's not actively putting any EV infrastructure in place, but it's just like the first approval that you would need to even interconnect it to the grid with something. So, and I wasn't aware that the city had even applied for any of that. But interesting to think about. Now, the other thing here, the Mass CEC on-street EV program, I think I mentioned this briefly last time because I had just received an email about it.
Yeah.
So I mentioned it to the mayor. She seemed, potentially interested in something like this. The criteria for so there's going to be 15 municipalities that get actual EV chargers donated. And there's going to be another 25 municipalities that receive technical assistance on just like planning for EV infrastructure and like looking at opportunities for this sort of thing. So they're not going to get actual chargers, but they are going to get some technical assistance from the state or from Mass CEC. So the criteria for these are to be, areas where there's a high percentage of renters, where there's on-street parking and low-income communities. Certainly, there are a few of those areas in town that we can identify. I reached out to the email address that said, if you're interested, send a message. They got back to me and said, hey, we had one webinar. We're doing a repeat of it on January 23rd. If you want to sign up for that. So I did sign up for that. I am going to be out of town, but I'll try to be on it. There's a deadline for this of February 14th, so it would need to happen pretty quickly if we wanted to try to do it. Don't know that we'll be able to pull something like that off unless it gets handed off to somebody in the city and like they can take that over. But I figure I'll at least learn more about it because it sounds like the type of thing that may get done again in the future. Right, that may be something that they would come back with. Or if we even wanted like the lower barrier of just like going for the technical assistance route, where we don't have to worry about actual infrastructure being put in place, but we could have somebody like to come in and say, okay, here's where your best opportunities are, here's where their funding is, here's the process that you would go through if you want to do this stuff, and then have that knowledge be sort of brought into the city, to the sustainability coordinator, to DPW, like whoever that might be. So it may be an opportunity for that, and that may be a little bit easier route to apply for.
Didn't we get that kind of technical assistance from blah blah and Sampson?
Not specifically. But John, what's your comment?
I wonder if we might be most suited for technical assistance on that. I'm wondering if this is a case of you build it and hope they will come kind of thing. Because I don't know what the saturation of EVs is in low-income rental communities, and is the theory that you put them there and then somehow people will go out and buy EVs. There is data, I believe, from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. I think Weston and Sampson Access, that or some other climate action planning organization did, which characterizes how many the vehicle fleet in the community. Gasoline, diesel, electric. Doesn't tell you where they are, but
Right. Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a sort of, you build it, they'll come kind of thing. I think they want to look. looking at communities that might otherwise be overlooked in this infrastructure, like at least give people the opportunity to have something that they're not going to, if they're a renter, they can't go and put a level 2 or level 3 charger in their residence or, on their property. So if you put stuff where people can access it, maybe that lowers the barrier to them getting a plug-in hybrid or an EV. Because most likely people do have vehicles, and there's more and more used ones on the road, and like the cost comes down, and there's practical. So we know that adoption rates are going to go up, and you'd like to see it be as equitable as possible. So I think it's interesting strategy to see if that actually then drives, so to speak, ownership of these vehicles. So I don't know. I'm not a researcher in these ways. Don't know, but it's it's an interesting way to try to provide some equity so that people don't have to come down to 50 pace and charge a vehicle or go somewhere else.
Has anybody read anything about the let's see, about what could possibly happen? We know what Trump wants to do. So will that affect purchasing, leasing of electric vehicles? What's the impact? That's the word I was struggling.
Yeah. I mean, that's an open question for a lot of things right now. Like, what direction is energy policy going to go, and like how much can it affect like momentum that's already there, or things that are already happening, or what's being driven at state level. Your guess is as good as mine. The CEO
worth pursuing.
The CEO of Tesla is in his ear, so is that really going to be anti-EV thing? And there's also a lot of domestic manufacturing stuff that comes from that too. So
only in his ear. Sorry.
But I'm done.
That's taken from the record. Speaking purely metaphorically. But so I don't know. It's in my world and solar and elsewhere. It is kind of an open question too. There's a lot of domestic manufacturing that can be benefited here, and there's certainly a lot of great economic activity that comes from local energy project implementation. Not to mention, how much more quickly it can be deployed, how much more economically, all that, and it benefits people all over the place. And the IRA has had its biggest impacts in red states and will continue to do so. So who knows? The hope is that there's too much focus going to other things to upend the energy stuff too much. I don't know. That's one way to look at it. But again, manufacturers are in on this. It's a worldwide trend. It's not just the United States. It's driven new consumers. More and more want it as well, because it is more economical to own and operate over the life of it. People want to cut back on their carbon footprint, regardless of what national policy might say. So
hopefully it'll only be 4 years.
Yeah. So anyway, so I mentioned the update on proposal from East Coast Renewables. So that was another thing I just asked the mayor about if there's any movement there. She told me a little bit about what she learned about why companies like that are trying to partner with municipalities, because they get to sort of double dip on some benefits and things like that. It sounded like that conversation hasn't really gone anywhere going forward for the time being. So it seems like kind of a dead issue. And then the city Eversource applications, I think I mentioned before, which was the interconnection applications, which Eversource apparently has been screwing around with. So some minor glimmers of hope with EV infrastructure, maybe some things we can do. And again, something a sustainability coordinator could take a harder look at. What programs or things might be out there, what assistance maybe would benefit the city. Goodness. I mean, I shouldn't complain because it's the energy efficiency. We need like breath sensors and not just motion sensors.
I'm getting half of this.
5 minutes, we got to get up and do a lap around the table. Just change chairs. Okay, climate action plan. next steps, again, nothing concrete there at the moment. Yeah, what's part of it, we'll see, sustainability coordinator and energy advocate and stuff coming in and seeing if there's opportunities to build on some things or what their priorities are going to be or what they see as like their best courses of action for some of this stuff. But the EDIC business recognition program, which is on the next slide, Jessica, we'll go to the back side. Any
We
updates?
are meeting next Tuesday to hear from the board member of the chamber who had brought the proposal to the board right after our last meeting. So hoping we can get something moving there.
Okay.
Are we still on climate action plan?
We are.
I was just gonna mention that in the course of getting a grip about the mass energy insights and all the Easthampton energy data, which is more or less, I think, the foundation of the work that Weston and Sampson, at least it's reflected, what Weston and Sampson was working with was reflected in the MEI database. We just got announced, was that, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, a month ago, come pick up an award for X number of communities that reduced their overall energy consumption from buildings overall energy consumption by X%. I think Chris Mason said it was 24% something.
Mhm.
I took the schools, I worked on the data for all the different fuel sources for the schools, whether it's electricity, building heat, etc., and what their total BTU counts were, and projected over the next 3-4 years, for the reason that they are still operating, as we talked about. They haven't shut them down, and they're not turning over to the consultant to the developer till 2027, I believe they said. So we're consuming a fair amount in those 3 elementary schools, but I looked at the numbers, and if we end up going to zero, which we should in 2027, we're going to be down 40% from the base year energy consumption. Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, in the meantime, hopefully those buildings are getting a facelift and, energy wise and among other things, and they'll be off the city's rolls, but
yeah, that's true. They'll still be on the city part of the city. So
yeah, it will still be, but again, repurposed and hopefully much more efficient. What they're doing. So that's great. That's good intel. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Those are the old schools. All right, so that's about it for the climate action plan. Unless at some point we'll probably try to do a deeper dive on that and see what actually we want to prioritize next. But I think we need to clear through some of these other things before we can even really focus too much on anything else. So I'll move into the municipal aggregation piece real quick. Just got outreach from Good Energy this morning that said they anticipate that we'll hear from DPU probably in early February because of the timing of when we applied. And so they asked us to start looking at getting a meeting together to talk about next steps before that happens. So again, the mayor's office and myself and the consultants are trying to pin down a date and time to meet to go through what that's going to look like. So yeah, so I think, I forget if it's 90 days, maybe about 90 days from the time we apply is what DPU's new target is. So early 2026 or 2025. Sorry, it's not passing on this whole year just yet. So anyway, I'll update again after that meeting, and if we do hear from DPU before the next meeting, of course, I will provide that update. But all looking good for that to be kicked off. Hopefully, the first half of this year actually in place. So that will be interesting and exciting. That will be a big task for a bunch of people, and us just to cheer from the sidelines.
As it should be.
Yeah. On the school bus electrification front, John, I didn't add any detail here. I don't know if there's anything further you want to talk about or anything new there.
Well, we didn't talk about the December 19th meeting because I wasn't there, or you might have talked about it, but I had let people know in early December that it was dead in the water for now because it turned out after, what am I trying to say? What does a biologist do? Dissecting the rules and criteria after a while, it became clear that we wouldn't be eligible for the higher financing of the buses, which would make it not viable. So, what am I trying to say? Our bus company, Durham, they were happy to have done it, gone through the process anyway, and said it's, they learned from it and sets a, stage for future interactions with us on this if more grant opportunities come around that we can go for. So that's it. Nothing
Okay.
happened there.
Yeah, a little bit of a cul-de-sac there for the time being.
Yeah.
And again, who knows at the federal level, incentives, what's going to
Right.
happen if
It was
buses, again, the state may have some
shot.
opportunities. Yeah, but we'll keep an eye out for upcoming, additional pieces, and get back to the school committee and others as needed. But again, good. We've laid a lot of groundwork in terms of, we know the school committee's on board.
Yeah.
We know that Durham is potentially willing to work with us. We maybe have a multi-community partnership that's ready to form. So, I mean, it's not, you've done a lot of work and it's not for naught. But just timelines a little bit longer than we hoped.
Yeah.
All right. You did ask about Sunwell before. I'm going to get back with them to talk about Winterfest, see if they might want to come, and they see if we can firm up a partnership and some, a mailer or other documents, flyers that we could share. Again, maybe they'd be able to put something together and bring it with them that would highlight their programs as well as stuff that we're doing all in one place. And if they'd like to have a representative at that event, that might be great. And they can even potentially try to sign people up if we can get everything cleared before then. So that is that. And sorry, Josh, for going a mile a minute here. I also just want to be mindful of time and not overdo it here.
Sit here.
Oh, okay.
What direction am I going? Sorry.
We don't know, John.
You can hear that? That's funny. I'm having trouble hearing with clarity what everybody's saying there, but I didn't realize I was under the microscope. Okay. You can't tell me where I'm going. We got to where we're going. I'm just gonna sit in the car to finish the meeting.
Okay, we're going onward, forward, into the future. All right, the last major bit, and I've talked a little bit about this. I mentioned this before. I forgot I had broken it out into a separate thing. But Chris Mason did send an email that outlined several funding opportunities upcoming for cities and towns in Massachusetts. I've outlined them here. So one of them is another thing we haven't talked about, which is a municipal energy manager. I've not mentioned this or talked to the mayor about this at all. But that's another, do we need a sustainability coordinator, an energy advocate, and an energy manager? Maybe not. But there is a grant available to help communities hire one or contract with a dedicated energy manager to work on school and municipal energy efficiency upgrades and decarbonize municipal operations. So funds can support full or part-time energy managers who work for one town or assist more than one community. So much like the Community First Partnership, it's a similar thing. The more, we get into all these different things, it's sort of like, man, could we just consolidate all this into one bucket of grant funds and people, or maybe, but no, that's the nature of things sometimes. Anyway, the applications for that are due by the end of the month. I don't believe there's an appetite for doing that at the municipal level right now. And I guess that is, yeah, done through Mass Save as well. It is more Mass Save.
Seems redundant.
Does seem a little redundant, but whereas a lot of Mass Save stuff is focused on, renters, owners, this is now focused more on municipal, right? Doing municipal energy efficiency and decarbonization. So a little bit different. Anyway, so the climate leader communities, decarbonization planning assistance, climate leader communities, they're offering a technical assistance and accelerator grant, but again, we've already done our application, so I think that's more for communities that have not already gone through the application process that may be looking at it. And the same thing with the decarbonization planning assistance. I don't think any of those apply to us since we already have an application that's pending. And then the Green Communities Competitive Grants, I mentioned that at the outset, so I'm not going to make Josh type all that again.
Copy and paste.
So again, I don't think we have any wherewithal to identify any grant opportunities we want to go for or projects right now, given everything else, and given that we're just kind of waiting for a lot of these things to get started. We need to kind of let all this shake out, let some new people get in place, get settled, have those conversations with them, try to prioritize, and then it's going to be their ball to run with, and us to just settle back into a little bit more, maybe a little bit more advisory, a little less active application and management of things. We'll see. All right, was that all one breath? That's all I've got for today.
Cool.
Anybody?
Question?
Go ahead, John.
Question on I don't know if we already covered the energy advocate in the agenda that I had been meaning to ask and forgot. Did you already receive and distribute their job description to the committee? So if I went back into old emails, I might find it. I'm guessing we were given the description.
You said for the Community First Partnership?
Yeah,
piece?
for the energy advocate. Yeah.
That's a good question. Was there a job description included in that application?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because
Okay.
I think maybe that's going to be part of the discussion we have next week is to, do what is the job description here, or finalize the job description before it goes out and we start actually looking at candidates.
Okay.
So,
There must have been guidelines in the grant. In the grant itself, there must have been some kind of guidelines of what their general function was, but.
yes, and that's why we had to identify the communities they were going to target. And work, I mean, the overarching goal, of course, is to promote mass save programs. And get people, moving into taking advantage of those. So that's the general, marching orders. And then again, we're focused on the 3 municipalities and the communities that we've identified, right? The renters, the 1 to 4, and multifamily, building owners and small businesses.
Yeah. Okay.
They kind of wanted us to tell them what the job description was.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not in detail, but just kind of what they would be doing.
Right. Yeah, right. We had to come up with strategies for outreach and those sorts of things. So while the overarching goal was clear, how we get there is going to be a little bit up to us. It's still going to be, up for discussion as we look to bring this person on.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else? Any pie in the sky projects we want to take on right now?
Let us catch our breaths.
Yeah, I agree. Looking forward to closing some of these things out, or at least having them official and moving on their own.
It's kind of a shame that the climate action plan hasn't been announced. That kind of eats at me that we spent all that money and time and it's kind of sitting on a shelf.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a part of it is, it helps us prepare for future grant opportunities and things like that. So there's value in just having it, even if it's but having it be more of an active document and being more of a plan, and We're all having trouble finding words today. That would be nice. It would be nice. And again, I think that's what a sustainability coordinator
Yeah,
can be a real big starting point for them. Like, right, digest what's in this, bring your own thoughts and approach to this, look at what else is going on, and then let's figure out, okay, here's the next things, and here's what, we, in DPW, because we are going to be part of DPW, what their focus can be. But now let's talk, we talked to all these other groups, Cassie did all that work to talk to all the different departments, like, let's go back and see what else we want to do there. What can we do? So again,
I
it's
agree
just
with Cassie. I agree with Cassie on that in terms of being disappointed, but I also see that it's kind of complicated how to roll it out to the community, and we were all pretty busy this fall, hustling to cover a bunch of different programs and responsibilities. And I think I agree with Jamie that it'll be good to maybe have the sustainability coordinator and the mayor or whatever take the lead on that, come spring.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe we can really announce it like on Earth Day or something, and really have a way to get it out there systematically.
So basically, once the sustainability coordinator is hired, they're gonna have a lot on their plate.
yes.
Yeah,
which is good.
But this is the meat of it, though, right? This our climate action plan is the meat of what they should have on their plate.
For
and
sure.
and all these things we're working on, in my view, all these things that we're working on are the mechanics of getting to the climate action plan objectives.
Right.
Yep.
And I won't officially speak for Connie, but I know, Winterfest being a good kickoff for doing some public outreach, and she wants to do more stuff, and an Earth Day event or something around that we do a bigger thing with the climate action plan, and hopefully have a sustainability coordinator and an energy advocate to be there. We could look at doing something bigger in the spring.
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
Revise should be on board too, starting their work.
Aggregation might be yeah, we might have aggregation rolling out at that point. There'd be a lot of reason to get out in front of the public and talk to them, and spread the word on a lot of things. So, yep, I think that could be good. And so at our next meeting on the other side of Winterfest, we'll see, how much energy that sapped out of Connie. But if she's still got gung ho about a lot of things, then we can turn our attention to a couple months hence and what we can do in April.
Do we have a date for the next meeting?
The next meeting has been set. Yes, it is, I believe, February 20th. We're sticking with the third Thursday. So the next two have been set at the very least. I believe it's both February and March 20th. And we're still at 3 p.m. and I've got the same great Google link, so I'm ready to go for the agendas for those. So yeah, February 20th for our next meeting, and then March 20th, and then we'll debate if that date and time is still working for everybody, and so we'll stick with it. And if we're having an issue, then we will retrench.
Okay.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else for today, then I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded. Anyone?
Cassandra Eckhoff, second.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.